シャーロック・ホームズ罪と罰、続きやっていきます。前回からですね、結構時間が空いちゃってどんなストーリーだったかっていうのを忘れちゃったんですけど、そもそも操作方法もあんまり覚えてないよ。メニュー、これだこれだ。課題、ハーフムーン通りの事件を解決する。ハーフムーン通りの犯行現場を調べて目撃者の話を聞くと、スコットランドヤードでレイトンに質問して彼の所持品も調べてみると、確かレイトンっていうのがウィギンズさんのお兄さんっていう話だったかな。半月夜の散歩ね。ベーカー街の遊撃隊のウィギンズ少年が彼の家族問題でホームズの援助を求めてきた。そうそう、彼にはいつもお世話になってるんで、そこは協力しないとねっていう話、前回した記憶はありますね。彼の兄、レイトンが警察に逮捕された。2人を殺害した罪に問われてしまった。そっか、被害者2人いるんだね。人物の情報って現時点でまだ出てない。今回は3人登場人物がいるんですね。レントンとおそらく真犯人が別にいて、あとはミスリードとなる人がもう一人いるっていう感じだと思うんだけど。
Hello, Toby. All you need now is a shawl and a mop cap, and you could be Mrs. Hudson's younger sister.
Holmes, poor little Wiggins needs our help.
さあ、どうしよう。とりあえずレントンさんに話聞いた方がいいかもしれないね。
Mr. Holmes, whatever brings you here so late at night?
I'm interested in the case of young Leighton Chapman. He was arrested earlier this evening and accused of a double murder.
I beg your pardon? That case is quite clear to the police. Or are there any new facts that we don't know about?
Who knows, Inspector?
Look, you are free to investigate, of course, Mr. Holmes. Chapman was arrested with a revolver in his possession, which you can find in the evidence room. The suspect himself is in custody.
Did you find anything else on his person?
A few personal belongings. Nothing particular, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, Lestrade.
この時代のイギリスの市民って銃ってどれぐらいみんな持っていたんだろうね。多分今の話からするとそんなに銃を持ってる人は少ないっていう時代背景があるんだろうね。
I'm always wondering what's on your mind, Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, what is the trouble with that lad? Isn't he guilty of murder?
あの青年じゃダメですかってどういうこと？それイグサ。まずはこの遺留品とか保管しているところで確認できると思うんだけど、レイトンの所持品ね。
So this is the gun that Leighton was holding when he was caught by the police. It is a Webley revolver, a reliable weapon.
自動回転式ね。ルパン三世のアニメとかで次元大介はあれ確か手動でこの断層のところをぐるぐる回していたと思うんだけど。
It seems as though the shells were not removed from the cylinder.
この時代ももう薬莢とかの成分とかそれで一致するかどうかっていうのを証拠として扱えるのかな。そういう科学技術も確立されてるのかな。多分ね、他にもまだ調べられるところがあると思うんだけど、これか、重心2発撃ってると。
2 out of the 6 shells have been fired. There were 2 shots.
2人死んでるらしいから数は合うね。
Two out of the... A cheap watch, bought with his own money, no doubt.
こういう懐中時計なかなかおしゃれだよね。ちょっと一つ欲しいなと思うんだけど、そもそも時計って普段持ち歩かないからな。
These
秋タバ
cigarettes
コ。
are filled with cheap tobacco. Nothing interesting.
それで終わり？まだリンゴ残ってるよ。もうこれ事件に関係ないっていうの分かってるんですね。ベントンさんの無実を裏付けるような証拠は今のところないね。まあむしろ犯人、確かに疑われてしょうがないかなっていう感じはするんだけど、そして2人遺体があるのかな。まあ、なんもない。この人被害者？ダッシュボタンがあるの思い出した。レントンさんはこいつか。レントン・チャップマンね。
Please escort this suspect for interrogation. Good evening, Mr. Chapman.
Who are you? I've got nothing to say.
人相
It's
悪
all
い。
a mistake.
Calm down, Leighton. I have come here to help you. To find out if you truly are innocent, as your younger brother Wiggins has told me.
My brother? You know him? Then that means you're...
Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, blimey. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell you everything.
まずは観察しようか。これがまず気になるよね、この頬の傷。時々喧嘩をする。喧嘩っていうレベルじゃないと思うんだよな。目にあざがあるね。つい最近殴られた後、ああ、警官に抵抗したんですね。楽な仕事？そっか、ウィギンズとはまた全然別のちゃんとした仕事についている。これ何？刑務所にいたんだ。そっか、昔はどこの刑務所に入っていたかっていうので入れ墨みたいなものを押されるんだね。もう絶対に消えないように。犯罪を犯した証拠としてもう生涯その入れ墨つけているんですね。じゃあ話を聞いていこうか。何がありました？
Good. Tell me your account of what happened.
I left my work and I hurried up to see the fireworks in Whitechapel. I was late, so I decided to cut through Half Moon Street. I saw the first fireworks light up in the sky. I bumped into a constable on a corner before entering Half Moon. Then suddenly, what with all the firework flare, I saw two men. They were both lying flat in the middle of the street. I stopped where I was. I thought about turning back to the police, but as I was thinking of that, I saw a third person. He was leaning over the body that was furthest from me. The second I saw him, he raised his head and he stared at me. In a flash, I saw his gun, but he made a dash for it instead and he escaped through Whitechapel Street.
So you might still have had time to return to the constable.
I panicked. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, I approached the bodies just to see if they were still alive. I saw that one had blood pumping out of his stomach. He was dying. It was horrible. The second one was already dead. He had a hole in his head. He was holding a gun in his hand though. I took it. And then I followed the third man.
追ったの？しかも拳銃を拾って？それちょっと怪しくない？ まあそういう荒事に慣れていたっていうのもあるかもしれないけど、普通の人の感覚じゃないね。
Interesting. Pray, continue.
I turned a corner, and I saw the man standing in the middle of the street. He seemed to be in some sort of panic. And then, Mr. Holmes, something strange happened. I told the police and they laughed at what I said, but I swear to you, my words are true. I started running towards him. But then I was blinded by a flash. It was so bright that I hardly saw anything for a good dozen seconds. But I kept running forward. As I arrived in Whitechapel, I heard a woman screaming. And then I was caught by the police. But there wasn't a trace of that man. Of course, then they found a gun and all that blood. I couldn't see the murderer escaping and all that mess. Perhaps I was still half-blinded at that moment.
A thrilling account, my young man.
レントンさんの話に出てきた女性の証言を聞きたいんだけど、
Leighton, are you able to describe the person whom you saw standing in Half Moon Street?
Well, I wasn't able to see his
うん、
face
やっぱり
at
そう
all.
か。
It was too dark. And he was too far away. I could see his silhouette.
And what about that?
Nothing so special. He was wearing a jacket. He was quite average in size and his
特徴がない。
I see. Was there anything else that struck you at the time?
No. But perhaps it's strange, but I can't remember the sound of his footsteps as he was running away. Perhaps it was because of the fireworks or the surprise of me seeing him.
We shall see you soon, young man.
終わり？レイトン・チャップマンね。ビギンズの兄で、今20代、路上で育ち、向こう水な若者。以前罪を犯してウェストゲート監獄で服役したことがあると。現在は過去の路上生活は断ち切り、どこかで事務員として働いているようだ。今度は犯行現場を確認しに行くっていう流れなんですね。その証言、悲鳴を上げた女性っていう人の話は重要なのではないかなっていうふうに思うんだけど、警察その情報は聞いてないのかな？
Mr. Holmes?
Please believe me, Mr. Holmes. I'm not a killer.
こういう推理ゲームの展開から考えて、レントンさんが真犯人っていうことはまずないと思うんだけども、現実的に考えて怪しまれてもしょうがないよ。じゃあハーフムーン通りに行こうか。今回のチャプター、半月夜の散歩っていう風になってるから、もうこの夜の間に事件が解決するっていう展開なんだろうね。
Holmes, poor little Wiggins needs our help.
了解っす。これ随分路地裏暗いんだけど、大丈夫？ホームズさん襲われたりしない？親父がいになったりしない？
Please, gentlemen, leave the scene now. Oh, Mr. Holmes, is that you?
Good evening, Constable...
Constable Marrow. I was here with Inspector Aberline during the Ripper case, Mr. Holmes, back in '88. But then this is nothing like that case. With this one, we've got the murderer, the weapon, and the statements, which speak for themselves.
Of course, Marrow. But you know that appearances can sometimes be deceiving. Who were the victims?
The two men here, both shot. The stab fellow was Brian Vercotti, a well-known ruffian. The other, Kenneth Butler, a jeweler by trade.
被害者2人ともちょっと悪人っぽいな。
You spoke of statements. You have witnesses?
Well, I was there, so I gave my own statement. And then there were two other witnesses who said they saw the killer Chapman. Mr. Turner, a gentleman who lives in that flat over there, and Polly Powell, a flower seller, who was over at the far side of the street.
So, Constable Marrow, I should be delighted to hear your testimony.
I was standing at the north side of Half Moon Street. That was the side that you came from.
But you would have been unable to observe this part of the street, where we are standing now.
That is correct. But I saw the two victims slowly enter Half Moon Street, and then shortly after, the fireworks started. A few minutes after that, the fellow Chapman rushed towards me and ran into Half Moon Street.
Please continue.
I didn't pay attention, but suddenly I heard a woman's cries and police whistles on the other side of Half Moon Street. I rushed over there and I saw the two dead bodies on the ground. When I reached Whitechapel Street, I saw Leighton Chapman. He'd been caught by two police constables.
Did you hear the shots?
I didn't hear any shots. The fireworks were all over the sky. They were so loud I couldn't hear anything else.
What were the fireworks in honor of, Constable?
Well, today's Queen Victoria's birthday, Mr. Holmes.
Ah, yes, I appear to have lost track of the days. It is May now, of course. Constable Marrow, what else caught your attention while you were running through Half Moon Street?
I saw nothing but rats, and I took the time to light every corner with my lamp.
Did you happen to look up at Mr. Turner's window when you were on Half Moon Street at that time?
Yes, I saw that the window was open, but no one was there. It was dark in the room.
Constable, your statements have been of great value to me.
アーナンさんと花を売ってる人には話を聞きたいね。
Mr. Holmes,
そして被害者のことって調べられます？
He tried to stop the bleeding with his hand. Death was
なる
not
ほど。
instant.
こっちがまだ生きている人ね。もう一人は頭はもう撃たれてるって言ってたもんね。
The bullet penetrated his stomach, a dreadful wound.
怖っ。
A tattoo from Westgate Prison.
え、
Vercotti must have done some time there. Brian Vercotti and Leighton Chapman both have identical Westgate Prison tattoos. They were most likely acquainted.
レントンと面識があったっていう情報、想定外だったね。全く無関係だと思ってたんだけど。
Brian Vercotti suffered greatly. What a terrible way to die.
あえて被害者と面識があるっていう情報を出しておいてミスリードを誘うっていうゲーム設定かもしんないね。この人はもう調べることは終わったと思うんで、今度は即死しているケネス・バトラー、多分こちらが宝石商っていう方だよね。
The bullet struck his head. This man didn't stand a chance. This is an ordinary key. I wonder what kind of door it opens.
ホームズさん、またそれ勝手に持っていくの？いいんだけど、多分重要なアイテムなんで。地面、物が挟まっている？
A piece of wood that has stuck between the cobblestones. Let us take a closer look.
何これ？杖の先端かな？
This shard of wood is quite new.
これで確認も終わりですね。
A fairly long pole with a forked end.
これまだ調べられる？ 興味のある対象物。
A fairly
後からま
long
た使うん
pole
だ
with a
ね。
forked end.
何に使うかは全然わからないんだけど。あ、でもこっち行ける？あ、行き止まりね。じゃあターナーさんとね、花売りの人2人に話を聞いておきたいね。ライアン・ターナー、ああ、君が見たんですね。ちょっと人相悪くない？
Good evening, Mr. Turner.
I heard Constable Marrow reply to you as Mr. Holmes. Are you that detective gentleman? I've heard of you. And well, I know things about this evening.
Excellent. Might we hear your story? Could you tell us everything that you may have seen or heard?
I was already in bed when the fireworks started. A few moments after, I clearly heard 2 gunshots from outside.
Please continue.
I quickly got up and I grabbed a lamp from my nightstand and I rushed towards the window. I looked down and I saw 2 bodies. And there was a man with a gun who was standing nearby.
Where exactly?
Well, near this body.
Did he notice you?
I don't think so. He rushed towards Whitechapel Street without looking around.
Mr. Turner, did you see anyone else in the street?
No, I saw no one but that man, the murderer, the fellow they caught.
そこをレントンさんの証言と矛盾するね。クリミア戦争、退役軍人ね。そうすると銃の扱いには慣れているっていう可能性あるよね。支えが必要。弱い足。あ、ちょっと待って、これ杖をついているってことだよね。さっき拾った木の先端の部分って杖の先端かなと思ったから、あれこいつじゃない？なんか怪しくない？ちょっと。もしかするとその杖の先端もミスリードかもしんないんだけど、ボタンが取れている。そのボタンどっかに落ちてるよね。2発の独特の銃声。
Were the 2 shots you heard consecutive?
Yes, there was a very short pause between them, and they sounded different somehow. It seemed to me that the second shot was louder than the first.
That is an interesting comment. Mr. Turner, what were your actions after you stepped up to the window?
I was afraid that the man with the gun might return, so I stayed close to the window till I saw the policeman coming in the half moon from Whitechapel. Then I walked out to tell them everything I saw.
You have helped us a great deal, Mr. Turner.
こいつは
I'm
ちょ
so
っ
glad
と
that
怪
the
しいよ。
murderer's been caught.
そしてもう一人話を聞かないといけない人がいるんですよね。それとね、多分どっかに落ちて、これが出口か。いけるの？
Locked. This mirror is turned towards Half Moon Street.
これ事件に関係すんの
Mrs. Powell?
What do you want?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting the police with their investigation of the crime that took place this evening.
Well, I've already gave my testimony, but very well.
Could you tell us everything that you may have seen or heard?
Yes. I was selling my flowers as usual, and then the fireworks began in honour of Queen Victoria. I enjoyed those. But then, all of a sudden, a young lad ran out of Half Moon Street and stopped just by me. He had a gun in his hand. He was like a ghost and all covered in blood. It was dark, but I could see him because of the flashes from the fireworks.
And then?
I screamed as loud as I could. I knew that a policeman should be on duty in the vicinity. He had no time to escape. 2 constables got him. Then another constable came out from the very same street, and I heard him talking of a horrible murder.
もう一人見てない。
Did you see anyone else leaving Half Moon Street prior to or at the time of the crime?
No, sir, I did not. Even with all the fireworks, I was very attentive, as I'm always on the lookout for customers.
Mrs. Powell, did you hear the gunshots?
I'm not sure. You know, what with the fireworks?
My thanks to you, Mrs. Powell.
銃声何発だったかっていうのが明確になってないのもちょっと嫌な感じだね。でもどう殺害現場からこの花織さんのところまで来るのにほとんど距離ないよ。そしてね、さっきのターナーさんの家に入る以外は脇道ないよね。そうするとターナーさんの家に隠れるっていうことしかできないんだけど、さすがにここでいきなりドアの中に入っていったらレントンさん気づくと思うんだよね。レントンさん向こうからやってきてこっちに向かっていたはずなんだから、いや気づかないのか。明かりも何もないから。そして今正面のランプ多分事件当時は消えていたと思うから暗くて全く見えなかったってことかな。あれウィギンズいつの間に。
I'll do anything to save my brother, Mr. Holmes. Mr. Holmes, did you see my brother at Scotland Yard? Is he?
今のところは大丈夫でしたけど、このままだと確かに死刑になっちゃいそうですね。
This mirror is turned towards Half Moon
あの
Street.
鏡ちょっと怪しいよね。これは
Locked.
聞けるのはここまでか。おじさんには話聞けないんですね、この人には。じゃあ一旦今回はでもちょっと待って、パウエルさんからまだ話聞ける？
Such a young man,
ダメか。
and already a murderer.
じゃあ一旦今回はこれで終わろうと思います。今のところね、ターナーさんがちょっと怪しいなっていう気はしてるね。ただもう一人登場人物が出てくるはずなので、その人を見てからかな。じゃあ今回はこれで終わります。見てくれてありがとうございました。